Media.
It is 11:35. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Maryam Mkwanda, coming to you live from our studios at 92 Xavier Street, Robert Sham, Gauteng. Most people are well aware that consuming a lot of sugar isn't exactly healthy, but many people do not understand just how dangerous it can be. Just how dangerous being addicted to sugar can be. Sometimes we overindulge, and research has shown that the more sugar we consume, the more we want. The good news is that you can break the sugar addiction, but let's find out how with Mariam Forgan, who is a registered dietitian and a life coach with a bachelor's degree in science and dietetics from the University of the Western Cape, also known as human nutrition. And let us find out how we can break free from this sugar addiction and also make healthier choices. Assalamu alaikum, Mariam, and shukran for joining me.
Wa alaikum salam. Nice to be here. Thank you. Shukran for having me.
Alhamdulillah, it's a pleasure. So, first of all, what makes sugar addictive?
The taste, number one. Remember, sugar comes in different forms. So you get the sweet sugar, but then you get sugar that comes from carbohydrates or starch. So those foods get broken down and the body recognizes it as sugar in the body. The body recognizes only three things actually when we consume food, aside from the vitamins and minerals. It breaks down any food into glucose or fructose, which is your sugars, your amino acids, which is protein, or the fatty acids, which is fats. So foods that contain starch or carbohydrate is recognized as sugar.
So, how do you know if you are addicted to sugar?
Um, Particularly if you crave it. It normally does taste like more, especially your refined sugars. So sugars that have been through a process, artificially flavored cool drinks, your luxuries, of course, but then you also get like your white pastas, your white rice, which goes through a bleach process, your breads, your pastries, so flour. Um, if you know that you're addicted to the sugar, you tend to go towards those foods and overindulge in them. So addiction is sort of classified as something that you use as a crutch, whether it is to cope, to bring yourself comfort for a short period of time, to distract yourself from reality, to numb emotions. That is sort of the sort of general definition of the word addiction. So if you find yourself turning towards sugar for those reasons.
Now, are there healthy alternatives or are they just as bad?
No, I mean it's not about being bad. I think addiction to anything. So when you consume anything in excess, it can be harmful. But yes, you do have healthier choices in the forms of your whole foods. So we call them whole foods, foods that haven't been touched or gone through a process. They are whole grains, your sweet potato, your normal potato, foods that are from the earth. I mean, they were designed by Allah to give us nourishment, but they get broken down into complex sugars, which then get absorbed slower into the body. So it doesn't have that rush that a refined sugar will have on the body. It's almost like a quick fix that acts with the reward center. These sugars typically make you feel fuller for longer, so you don't need to consume as much. So it keeps the balance.
With Eid coming up, many people are already preparing for their dessert tables. Many orders have been placed already. And just going through some of the comments here, Nabil Parker from Cape Town says, my favorite Eid dessert is malva pudding and caramel custard. There's a burfi from Salama in Lenasia. There is a peppermint crisp, always a favorite, and Oreo cheesecake from Fazleen Lunas, and Wasila Barker from Eldorado Park says her eat favorite is cheesecake and malva pudding. So it seems like the cheesecakes and malva puddings are winning, but we do know that the burfis are going to be making its rounds on the table. So obviously these desserts are very sweet. I've seen the process of how they make some of these sweetmeats like the burfi, for example. So how can people make healthier choices? I mean, they look good, they probably smell good, and sometimes also taste good, but they are not as good.
So it's a hard question because people won't feel as satisfied with something replacing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like air frying a samosa. It's healthier, but it just doesn't taste quite the same. So I always believe in this word moderation. Your moderation might be different to my moderation. And Eid is also recognized as a time where there is, family that gathers. It's a sense of community, warmth, love, a lot of comfort and positive associations around these typical foods. Typically, the recipes are even passed down by traditions. And it's something familiar that you grew up with. So replacing it with something healthy, yes, I believe in allowing for healthy options along with those traditional foods so that you don't eat them from a place of hunger. I always say, make sure when you eat your meal, enjoy it. And then when you turn to the pastries or the desserts or the luxury side of things, don't eat them unless you have eaten your main meal, because then you can enjoy it, but it won't come from a place of hunger, which means you are then less likely to overindulge. And Ramadan, our stomachs have shrunken. So it's also just about becoming in tune with your body. Normally, we tend to dish with our eyes and not our stomachs. We simply can't eat as much. So we want to, but you'd really have to force that process. So train your mind to enjoy it, but not to overindulge, and rather take something that you didn't manage home with you for the next day so that you don't stretch the stomach. Once you've stretched the stomach going forward, you always need to fill that capacity that you stretched. And that's where the overeating tendencies can escalate.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that we probably don't pay much attention to is the drinks that we consume. So the drinks are also going to be on the table. We will be allowed to eat, drink, and be merry. So when it comes to the drinks, are the zero options, the light options, are they okay to consume, or once again moderation?
Look, again, moderation, but they are a better alternative to the full sugar drinks. They're artificially sweetened, they've got a lot of chemicals, so that's where the moderation comes in. But typically, people enjoy that fizz with that drink. So if it's no to low sugar, then it's a better alternative to the full sugar ones. Fruit juice is equally as bad. I mean, they actually have more sugar in the fruit juices than they do in the gas drinks. And fruit sugar, just like your gas drinks, they are typically sweetened with corn syrup or fructose, which gets stored in the liver and can down create a fat of water and just enjoy a cup of a drink, but typically the zero would be the better alternative out of the gas drinks, if that's what you're asking.
Hmm. And homemade options is another way to go. If you got a
Mm.
juicer, a blender, make some smoothies, make some fruit juices. And I think when you know what is going in your drinks, then or in your foods, then it is a much healthier option. I'd like to know about the physical and mental effects that sugar has on a person. But hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break, and we will continue thereafter.
No problem. Sumaya,
High-end luxurious jewelry?
do
Or
you
is it our
have a
master
chart?
craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewelry needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your
breakdown.
special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Gift of the Needy is working tirelessly to bring relief directly to those who are COVID-19 positive by sponsoring oximeters, hot nutritious soup, grocery hampers, and rendering financial assistance. Donate now. Standard Bank, Gift of the Needy, 272-327-654. Contact us on 031-271-3102. View our projects online on www.giftoftheneedy.com. Gift of the Needy, bringing ease to those in need.
The Al Baraka Transactional Banking Loyalty Program puts cash back into your pocket. Earn cash back monthly on your purchases at participating butcheries when you pay with your Al Baraka debit card. Terms and conditions apply. Visit www.albaraka.co.za/loyalty or contact our customer services on 0860 225 786 or WhatsApp us on 084 786 6563. Al Baraka, your partner bank. Al Baraka Bank Limited is an authorized financial services and credit provider.
On air and online, this is Salam Media, and you are tuned to Maryam Mkwanda on Salam Media.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media. It is 11:47. If you have any comments, you can leave them in the comment section or questions. We are talking about sugar addiction and your favorite Eid treats. So let us know, what are some of your favorite Eid treats that you just can't do without, the must-haves on the Eid table. And I've got a comment here on Twitter, which says that my favorite is barfi. So it seems like the barfis and the malva puddings and the cheesecakes are going to be hits this Eid. But like our registered dietitian and life coach Mariam Forgan said earlier, that moderation is key. So make sure that if you feel like you must have a specific dessert, a specific treat, then make sure that you have it in moderation, and don't forget to drink water. I know during the month of Ramadan, we haven't been drinking enough water like we wanted to or hoped to. So make sure that when you do get a chance to drink as much water as you can. Shukran for staying with us, Mariam. Now, what are the physical and mental effects of sugar?
Physical effects. Okay, sugar can obviously drive inflammation in the body. For people that have got arthritis or fibromyalgia, they would probably know more than myself. And if you are conscious, it's something you weren't aware, when you do consume sugar or too much, especially the sugary sugar like chocolate or in the form of a fruit juice, that pain is exacerbated, particularly in the joints. It can lead to metabolic syndrome, which is driven more by becoming obese. So sugar is the body's primary source of fuel. And when you overconsume that form of energy, so in the form of sugar, then it gets stored as fat if it's not used in the form of exercise or utilizing it throughout your day. So obesity, of course, is driven, it can create a number of problems such as your diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So that is the physical complications of sugar. It also can have a mental impact, okay, in the form of hyperactivity, affects your concentration. There is a link between sugar and mood, both in the positive and negative. So sugar does act on the same receptors in the brain, in the reward center of the brain as a drug. And also it's linked to depression as well. So long-term use of overconsumption of sugar. And the emotional impact is, like I mentioned before, is we tend to turn towards our comfort foods, which are typically starchy foods, carbohydrates, foods that are high in fat and sugar, as a form of comfort when we stress eat, when we boredom eat. And that in itself has, basically it's used to numb the emotion that we are feeling at the time, or to get the effect of that short-term satisfaction because we are feeling uncomfortable at that present moment in time. Remember, the body or the mind specifically always veers away from pain and goes towards pleasure. So sugar does bring a sense of pleasure, but it's momentarily, and then the aftermath is often guilt and feelings of disgust and negative feelings towards oneself.
Yeah, I know. I've had such feelings sometimes, after eating a chocolate. I'm like, oh my gosh, I worked so hard to get to this point, and now I have gone back. So let me not do that, and let me not become that person. Now we do have diets or lifestyles such as banting and keto. In fact, Farah from Westin says that her favorite dessert is keto peanut butter cookies and any keto-friendly dessert. So, how can people, or how rather, what's the best way to cut down on sugar? And do lifestyles or diets such as keto and banting help in any way?
So, look, I mean, in my opinion, diets are very short term. It's more like a method to get you to a result. But the success lies in long term sustainability, which means you have to look at the person's lifestyle. So every person is unique and they need to adapt a lifestyle intervention that suits them, their environment that they're in. For example, if you do keto desserts, those are perfect if you are diabetic or are wanting to reduce your sugar intake but tend to have a sweet tooth. They taste a lot better than normal desserts. They're quite dense normally some of the time, but they don't have that effect of sugar and they make you feel more satisfied sooner, which leads to the moderation approach. Whereas banting, it's not a one size that fits all. Like keto, it can sometimes be quite high in fat, even though they say banting's not supposed to be high in fat. People tend to think it is, and then it's not suitable for people that are genetically predisposed to high cholesterol because it can push up your cholesterol. But if you are only using, like, say, a banting recipe or a keto recipe for the odd or special occasion, then it's absolutely fine. And then just leading a moderate, sort of healthy, balanced, intuitive, mindful eating way of living the rest of the time, because your lifestyle is what you do most of the time, not what you do some of the time. And so what you do most of the time needs to be reviewed. If your recipe is not working, your results that you're getting is due to the recipe, which is your lifestyle.
All right. Some quick take-home points so that we can keep in mind going forward from the day of Eid. In fact, from today going forward, what can we do to cut back on sugar?
So eat properly. Okay, a lot of people that tend to have sugar cravings or starch cravings or overindulge in these foods tend to not eat properly, meaning that they may have a very light or even skip breakfast typically because they're busy or they're now intermittent fasting. Or they will skip lunch. Then the night time becomes the time where people overindulge or feel more relaxed so that they can enjoy their food, whereas the day is quite rushed. When you start to skip meals, that does relate to what your behavior is going to be towards the end of the day, how much you're going to eat, what you crave, because you starved your body for the day, which was the most important time of the day when your body needed the fuel. So the metabolism slows down more towards the end of the day. Therefore, your lightest meal should be supper. So the routine has to change. And a good way of finding out what your routine is just to keep a 2-week food and mood diary. Little pocketbook you can keep, and you just write everything you eat and drink from morning to night. Other tips include, like I said, if you're going out with a friend for coffee and a piece of cake, or to a kitchen tea where you know there's going to be desserts or lots of pastries and cocktail platters, make sure you eat beforehand. A lot of people have the mindset, oh, I'm going out to eat, I'm therefore going to starve myself so that I can enjoy my meal. That's the wrong way of approaching it. Why? Because then we tend to eat those foods that are not filling from a place of hunger. Whereas if you eat a meal or a starter or a soup or a shake or a smoothie before you're going out, part of that stomach has been preoccupied, which means you can then enjoy the food, but in moderation. So everything that helps a person to be brought back to moderation is key. Also, becoming a more conscious eater. So not eating on the go, eating in a hurry. Typically, people then actually don't track those types of foods, and they only track the foods they remember, and they don't quite know why they are putting on weight or feeling sluggish, etc. So not eating in a rush. And if you do have meetings or travel quite extensively and have these long gaps between meals, I would suggest a high protein, low carbohydrate type of meal replacement shake that can just carry you through the day, or a high protein bar, something you can pop in your bag, which just means you're not going to be as hungry by the time the next meal comes due to those big gaps in your day.
And a lot of us make these mistakes, and especially becoming when we are an unconscious eaters. We just grab here, grab there. I'm on the road. I'm in a hurry. I just want to get something so that I can put something into my body, so that I can have fuel, so that it's so that I don't feel like I have actually skipped a meal. But in essence, you have actually skipped a meal, because you were unconscious to your eating. So shukran so much for these tips, and I hope our viewers and our listeners will take heed of the advice, and moderation is a key. Shukran so much for your time, Mariam, and have a wonderful and blessed Eid. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah, and to you and the viewers. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was life coach and dietitian Mariam Forgan taking us through the sugar addiction and how to cut back on sugar. If you've been consuming too much sugar, then now is the time to cut back. We have been fasting. I don't know how your sugar consuming has been since we started. But for me, it has been here and there. It hasn't been overboard like before, because before fasting, I was into that whole no sugar, no bread thingy. So yeah, sugar hasn't been much, but it has been there. It has been part of my food. Just quickly going through her tips: eat properly and don't starve yourself, like doing the intermittent fasting thing. We think that these things will help us, and sometimes they do, but they do only when they become part of your lifestyle, and not just form part of a challenge, a 3-week challenge or 21-day challenge, so that you can shed some kilos. You have to make it a part of your lifestyle, and then you will see the results. But also get yourself a registered dietitian to help you along the way if you are looking towards losing weight. If you want to eat healthy, if you want to make better choices, then get some professional help, because I'm not a pro and I'm suffering just as much as you are. Also, your routine must change. Keep a food and mood diary, because that will help you out as well. And make sure that you jot them down. Jot everything down that you are consuming, that you're putting into your body, whether it's food, whether it's drinks, whether it's snacks. Write them down, and don't say, I think I ate that. The moment you eat it, write it down. If you don't have your book with you, then you could just note it on your cell phone, so that you can jot it down later on when you get home. And when you go back to your notes, and you can track your eating habits, and that will also help you to better prepare your meals in future. And also become a conscious eater, and don't eat in a rush just because you are late. Then you can just grab a snack, a bar, an apple, a banana, or something, and you're gonna eat in the rush, or you'll pick up something along the way at the garage. You end up getting a cup of coffee, a muffin, or whatever. So make sure that number one, you wake up on time and don't sit in bed playing on your devices and checking on who commented on what and who liked what, because that's where most of your time will be consumed. So get up early and get into your routine and prepare your breakfast. Prepare a nice, wholesome, healthy breakfast and sit down and enjoy your breakfast, enjoy your meal, and then you can go knowing that you don't have to worry about eating breakfast, and all you have are your water bottles, your protein shakes, and anything else. But like I said, get yourself a registered dietitian and don't take any tips from me, because those are not my tips. Those are Mariam Forgan's tips. And a comment from Safia from Bosman's, her favorite Eid dessert is a peppermint crisp and her aunt's red cakes. I hope you guys all enjoy the festivities of Eid and you enjoy all the treats. And remember, moderation is key. Do stay with us. We will be right back.